Now, you've probably heard or read the most recent comments by Mark Hamill saying that Luke apparently believed that Ben Solo was the chosen one and that he put all his effort into training him, only to, obviously, have it all go wrong. This, of course, leads to several questions. The first being, did he not see or sense the Vader in Ben? Because Han and Leia discuss how they had thought there was too much Vader in their son during The Force Awakens. So did Luke think he could overcome this, or did he just not sense it for some reason? And why did he think Ben was the chosen one? Or maybe even better yet, why did he think there was still a need for the chosen one? Did he sense Snoke out there, or learn about him in some other way? And how did he even know about the prophecy of the chosen one in the first place? And sure, maybe Lord Santeca, who knew a great deal about the Jedi and was friends with Luke during this time, told him about the prophecy. Or maybe there's another answer for all of this, and that would be the Force Ghosts. Because I've discussed the possibility before that Luke, who received very little training, heavily relied on the Force Ghosts to rebuild the Jedi Order after the events of Return of the Jedi, more or less doing as they instructed. And if you think this is far-fetched, keep in mind that Qui-Gon, who never even learned how to fully manifest, trained Obi-Wan while he was on exile how to become a Force Ghost. So there is precedence for such a thing, and I don't think it's a stretch to assume that any or all of the Force Ghosts also trained Luke to some degree. Another thing they may have done is told him about the prophecy and that Ben needed to be trained because he was the chosen one. And then Luke, again putting all his trust in them, trained Ben, and it obviously had disastrous consequences. And now Luke very much blames them for what has happened not only to Ben, but the rest of his students. This could then be what sent him in search of the first Jedi Temple, to find some real answers about the Jedi. Of course, you might immediately ask then, why would the Force Ghosts insist Ben be trained if they knew he was going to fall to the dark side, which they probably would know? Well, maybe Ben's fall was inevitable, no matter if he was trained by Luke or not. Maybe the Force willed that Ben would eventually become an apprentice to Snoke, for reasons that are yet to come clear to anyone other than the Force Ghosts. But now that Luke has trained Ben in the ways of the Jedi, it has given him a path back to the light, or even just a better or greater understanding of the Force itself, an understanding he may need to fulfill whatever destiny the Force has willed for him, a destiny the Force Ghosts know about but couldn't tell Luke. And again, I think this could all tie into why Luke went in search of the first Jedi Temple and his now apparent desire for the Jedi to end, because I don't think he wants to be a pawn anymore in a bigger game that he doesn't fully understand. I mean, think of his journey in the original trilogy. He grows up as a nobody farm boy only to encounter Obi-Wan and be told he's meant to be a Jedi, and gets like 10 minutes of training before Obi-Wan is killed. Then 3 years go by where Luke is left to search for answers by himself. Then he finally gets sent to Yoda, spends a little bit of time there learning the true ways of the Jedi, and finds they're not at all like he expected, only to run off midway through his training to have it revealed to him that he's been lied to about his father by those Jedi who have been training him. And then, if this theory is on the right track, the Force Ghosts begin to help him rebuild the Order and urge him to train his nephew to pass on what he has learned, but then it all goes wrong and Ben goes to the dark side and his other students are murdered. And as much as I don't like the idea of anything being able to break Luke, this likely did, and he left everyone and everything behind to get some real answers about the purpose of the Jedi, and he didn't like the answers he found, that they exist to carry out the will of the Force, no matter what that will is. And then Rey shows up on the island and tries to hand him his old lightsaber back, and to be blunt, this pretty much just pisses him off. The Force is again trying to shove an unwanted destiny upon him, and the thing is, they have sent to him not his daughter, but someone who is very much like he was at that same age, someone who is ignorant yet eager, and ready to fall once again into the trap of being a Jedi. And Luke doesn't want to train her. He doesn't want her to suffer as he has, and instead tells her the Jedi need to end and tries to send her away. But she stays, and eventually, Luke will of course find cause to train her. And I also truly feel, now more than ever after reading Rian Johnson and Daisy Ridley's most recent comments, where they more or less try to downplay the importance of Rey's parents, that she has a very humble origin, that she is not a Skywalker or related to anyone else we know, that, as The Force Awakens tries to tell us, her story is ahead of her, not behind. And if Luke thought or believed Ben to be the chosen one, to me it heavily implies he doesn't have a child himself, or at the very least doesn't know about them, because I just cannot see Luke investing all his time and effort into training Ben while his daughter rots away on a backwater desert planet. I also maintain, and you can certainly disagree with me, it's just my opinion, that Rey doesn't need to be a Skywalker for this story, because Ben is the Skywalker of this new generation and this new trilogy. His story and his character are as important as Rey and her story, especially if he somehow is the real chosen one. And for me, I find it more interesting if Rey and Kylo are not related, and that she eventually has another reason to try and redeem him. A big part of Rey's story could in fact be her need to overcome and deal with all her anger and hate for Kylo Ren. I also think it'll be more intriguing if Rey finds or is given her own reason to become a part of this, and if that reason isn't because she is part of the Skywalker family. I think right now she's gone to Luke and wants to be a Jedi because she thinks that will give her purpose and allow her to find her place in life. But I don't think that's going to be it at all. In fact, I expect Luke to challenge her as to why she wants to become a Jedi, and until she finds the answer, he will not train her. In fact, I don't know that Rey gets trained much, if at all, in this movie. I wouldn't be surprised if the movie more or less ends with Rey finding that answer, giving it to Luke, and him finally agreeing to train her as a Jedi. Well, that's all I've got for you this time. Now it's your turn to tell me what you think. Could Kylo Ren be the chosen one? And if so, how do you feel about that, since it seems to pretty much undo all that we know and believe about the first two trilogies? Leave a comment below and let's talk some Star Wars. And until next time, thanks for watching.